My name is Gina Mims, and I am the president of Inspiro Brands. And I specialize in doing branding and graphic design for the restaurant, lifestyle, and event industry. So a lot of the clients I work with are startups. So part of it's consulting, figuring out what they want to do for their businesses, brand new businesses. So I'm doing their logos, their websites. A lot of times it's restaurants, so that's, menus and signage and any, thing that the restaurant will need. We design that, but part of it is brand development and helping them figure out what that is before you actually designed it all. So it's fun. Okay. I like it. So I graduated from Cal State Fullerton, and I also have a certificate in marketing from UCI. And then for an internship, I had started my internship in college and ended up staying there for, 12 years. So I started as an intern, then I was, graphic designer, then senior designer, and then I became a partner there. So I was there in all 12 years, and then about 10 years ago, I left that. And, for that, I had, staff and people to manage. And after a while, I decided to go out back on my own. So now that's what I do, is still outsource a lot of other designers, but I get to do design again, because when you get bigger, then you don't get to be creative as much. So I like this better. Well, one of the main things that I liked when I first started, doing this and trying to figure out what I was doing was my mom had brought me into an ad agency, because originally I wanted to be a children's book illustrator. And then you realize you want to eat and have money. So I went to an ad agency and got to tour around there. And so I realized in that graphic design was even I didn't even know what that was at that point. And so learning that, part of it, I learned that I didn't want to be in a huge agency because it was a little overwhelming. But I would say to possibly do that, but also my biggest recommendation is always to do what you love, or at least you're good at. Because what I find is once you start doing that, you get stuck doing that same thing. So I don't know. Okay, good example. I had a college roommate. She was an illustration major. I was a design major, and she didn't want to, she was making more money waiting tables. So she didn't want to give up that money. But, you start thinking about the long term, she's still waiting tables 20 years later. So you really want to kind of figure out what you want to do and worry about the money later. So the money is really, 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road. And I would say that's really important. The other thing I would say is to do a job shadow. If you don't know what you want to do, go find people who are doing it. I used to do a mentorship program for Newport Harbor High. And one of the things we do is I'd have mentors all set up, and everybody would go and be able to job shadow. And then there were a couple of students who, their parents always wanted them to be doctors, and they job shadowed in, the hospital and realized they didn't want to do it. And that would be like, $200,000 later, you learn you can't stomach being a doctor. So figure out a little bit of what you want to do first. And then I would say, if you don't know what you want to do, go to, community college or trade school. So it's not as expensive, and you get to go take classes and explore a little bit. again, I think we talked before we started here, I used to teach college, and these parents would want their kid to declare a major. You know, you have to pick a major. And so they'd have this major, and I taught the graduating seniors who were doing their portfolio class, and they would have to go out and get a job. And we'd do this exit interview at the end, and at the end they'd go, I don't really want to do this. And that's just not a, you know, your parents just paid a ton of money or you have student loans. You kind of want to make sure that what you're going to do is what you want to do. So that would definitely be a good tip. And find a mentor. You would ask that earlier, did I have a mentor? I didn't really have a mentor, but we did, again, a mentorship program, and that's really helpful. Let's see. The other thing in that same vein is, like, you know, go work for somebody for free. Do, you know, figure out if you like it there. Do an internship. Again, we talked about my college roommate. You know, she needed a paying internship, so she did one thing. Mine was, you know, free, but I have a friend, even more, you know, they went to work for DreamWorks. You know, they don't pay you at DreamWorks, but now she's in DreamWorks versus the other person who, you know, made $5 an hour, $10 an hour, nothing for an internship, but still has a lower paying job now. So it all balances out again. Think of money later. Teach yourself. There are so many things that you can learn on, you know, YouTube, or, you know, just Google things. So there's, you know, even if you decide not to go to college, always keep learning, you know, or figure out what you want to do that way, you know, and then that kind of helps figure out if you want to go to college or, you know, have special interests. So that would be a definite, you know, tip.